It's always about, do you support the war or do you not? Are you anti-war? Yeah. And it's very vague and generic and very, they try to pull on patriotic heartstrings, and it's like, hey, what is the current war really about? And, this is a spit in the face of the current serving men and women who are dying over poppies to run around wearing poppies on their shirt and not acknowledge what they're dying for. I'm not saying not to wear it. I'm saying if you're going to wear it, let's acknowledge what the current servicemen and women are risking their lives for. They're risking their lives for more opium, for the medical mafia, to launder through our medical system, and just ram it through Obamacare. So that's what you got.
Yeah. Is it true that, I forget one of these countries, I think over there, actually grow real poppies? Poppies actually grow?
Yeah, Afghanistan, I believe they grow there. Yeah, but I mean, people grow them here.
No.
And the legend is that it's about the Flanders Fields. In the graves, beside the graves, there'd be poppies growing or something in the actual field.
Yes, yeah. But that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
But there's a thing called the Opium Wars that took place in China and stuff too, right? Where the British took over China they used opium, they spread it through the masses.
Yes, there's the Opium Wars with the British Crown, and they have long been big players in the opium trade. So a lot of the elites are big players in the opium trade and have been so for hundreds of years, and it appears to be up until current. Because we're in Canada's in an opium war right now, and we're beholden to who? The Crown. So
look at the Bill Clinton. He was a drug user. Cocaine and stuff like that.
The Clinton Chronicles.
We're in an opium war, and Canada's probably one of the top countries for laundering opium through the medical system, through prescription drugs. We don't have the biggest population, but in terms of percentage-wise, per capita, it's epidemic. The opium usage laundered through the prescription drugs. And we're one of the biggest players in Afghanistan in the opium war. So, I don't know. The opium war still goes on. It was going on hundreds of years ago. So, maybe this is nothing new.
Just history repeating itself.
Right.
Yeah, and a few weeks ago when I was mentioning about how I was on the highway and I was driving through, I guess it's the Highway of Heroes thing, and it was the same day that they were taking the Nathan Cirillo, the corporal's body, Nathan Cirillo's body to Hamilton or whatever, from Ottawa, I guess, the guy that passed away in the shooting. And that reminded me of like a sporting event. Like they're like waving flags, and like it didn't seem like a thing like Remembrance Day where everyone's like solemn. It was more like a Canadian, like as if like a Team Canada had won the Olympics or something. That's what it seemed like.
Right.
And they're going to bring through the medal, or so the Stanley Cup is going to be brought through in a parade. It's like in that sense, that's what I'm afraid of, the future of Remembrance Day, if it starts turning into that.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Well, yeah, because anyone can drive up to any overpass on over the Highway of Heroes and, blindly wave a flag around going, yeah, and cheer and think they did their part. But, you didn't honor him. You need to look into who, what did he die for? Who killed him? Who else was involved? Was this just some lone nut? You need to find out what the hell really happened. And I'm not saying what they told us didn't really happen. I'm just saying, make sure we know who did it, why they did it, and then we hold the people who did this accountable for what they did. And that's how you honor any fallen soldier, especially fallen in the manner that Corporal Cirillo went. You definitely want to make sure you get the guy and you get anybody else who is involved in it, if there is anyone else.
Well, I think there probably was a lot of. I think there's more than one person involved in this. What went on in Ottawa? You just can't do it without other people knowing about it or anything like that. I think there's more players in the game to this. And Lawrence McCurry, he brought up. He mentioned that. Not all events like this are false flag.
Right. Well, I mean, there is a element that join up with Islam and might be join a sect of radical Islam and just go on some kind of craze, spree like this. And if that's, the case that happened here, people that are concerned about this, instead of cheering or waving, they need to look at what really happened. And then if it is a issue with radical Islam, then we need to address that issue. And I don't know if we can legislate our way out of it. I believe there's already laws on the books that we can use to prevent all this in terms of our immigration. I don't even think we need to reform anything. Often you can look and see that, hey, we have laws on the books that can prevent this kind of thing, but we don't seem to be enforcing them. We seem to just keep the borders wide open, and the terrorists seem to get a free pass to go in and out of Canada or America or any other country they want to go to. But hell, should you and your family want to go down to Six Flags down there in the USA, we're going to do a couple of butt checks on your 5-year-old daughter and steal your laptop and your iPad. Sucker. Because we're the TSA.
Yeah.
We let the terrorists in, and we keep the Canadians out, eh?
So I'm just saying that maybe it isn't a false flag. I hope it's real, but the way I'm looking at it, it's a false flag. Governments are like that. Governments do things like this, and they start false flags. That's what I'm saying. If there's a history of it, if there's a history of this kind of thing going on, I'm going to go with, well, this is a false flag. I think it's a false flag because they're going to be using it to justify taking more of our rights and freedoms and the civil liberties away, and to fight this group over there called ISIS, all this kind of stuff. So
they'd use that regardless.
Yeah.
Either way, that's what people need to realize. Regardless of whether something is staged or planned out, or it just happened, something bad happened, the government will always use it in the media to capitalize on it and to push their own political agenda. I mean, so you got to keep that in mind. Just because they're using it to push an agenda doesn't necessarily make it a false flag. I'm not saying it makes it not a false flag. I just look at it. The only real suspicious thing that I've come across was that video of the supposed CPR being performed on Corporal Cirillo. And from the angle, people are raising questions. Was that CPR performed right?
Actually, John, you guys, I want to iterate with you that I talked to my management about, because they just took CPR again, because you got to take it every 5 years. And I said, what about doing the chest part and do the mouth to mouth? Do you do it at the same time? And they said, no, you don't. You don't do it at the same time. You do it. You have somebody doing mouth to mouth. You do that depending on how many times you're doing it. You do it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes for mouth to mouth. Then you stop, and then you do the chest part. You do that, and it goes back and forth, not at the same time.
Yeah, it would seem that many people were pointing this out, that if somebody was doing the chest compressions at the exact same time that somebody's trying to breathe into them, the chest compression is just going to force the air out. I've never seen it. I personally haven't seen CPR done with chest compressions and mouth to mouth simultaneously with what appeared to be a lot of mouth to mouth. Like usually you have a bunch of chest compressions. They do a count, and then they do a little bit of mouth to mouth, and then they resume the chest compressions, and then and they time it. And this did not, and this is the thing. People are saying, it was fake. It was crisis actors. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything. For all I know, these bystanders weren't properly trained in CPR. And nobody wanted to throw them under the bus because it would have been a witch hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know. That could be the case, or it could be the case. The other thing is that the guy's hand did not appear from the angle that we saw to be even on Corporal Cirillo's chest. Again, it could just have been a funny camera angle that just made an optical illusion. But it's not clear to me that his hand was even doing chest compressions on his chest.
Yeah, but I brought that up as well. What about the hands, the soldier's hands on his chest? Aren't they supposed to be down by his side? Which was supposed to be what has happened. But he had the chest on his hands on his chest, which would make it a little bit more difficult to do the chest part. So their hands are supposed to be down by your side. The medical staff or whoever's there is supposed to put the hands beside the patient, so you're able to do the chest part of the whole operation.
Well,
So,
we are
okay.
almost out of time here, guys, but I want listeners to check this out, what we're talking about with the Corporal Cirillo CPR. Was it a hoax? Was it fake CPR? Was it just some bystanders that didn't know proper CPR? I don't know, but who was the guy in the black clothes doing the chest compressions, or the so-called chest compressions? Who are these people? What are their names? And how do we get in contact with them? Because a lot of people in the alternative media, a lot of Canadians have questions for these people in regards to this. And we mean no disrespect to anybody about these questions, but anyways,
God
guys.
save the Queen.
Yeah.
Happy Remembrance Day.
We have
that's not the
before
right
us
word.
the opportunity to forge
Have a
for
solemn
ourselves
remembrance.
and for
Save the
future
Queen.
generations. A
No,
new world order.
thank you.
A world where the
Have a
rule
good
of
night,
law,
everybody. Be safe.
not the
And
law of the
possible
jungle,
holiday.
governs the conduct of nations. When we